Welcome to the stream, everybody. Hopefully everything's working well. I gotta double check my audio here real quick. Good. Okay, sorry it's late. I was in a meeting across town and had to drive, race back over here. And of course we're getting into rush hour, quote unquote, which is not rush hour like most people would think in a big city, but it's rush hour for here. So anyway, real quick, if this is your first time on the stream, welcome. The whole point of this stream is for us to have a conversation. If you've got questions, ask them in the chat. I saw you all have been chatting up a storm, which is awesome. And I'll do my best to answer those. There's also really awesome other people in the chat who can answer them as well. And we'll have a great time for the next 30, 40 minutes or so. So Black Pino, the Apple guy, Happy New Year. Yes, I think we're gaining almost 2 minutes a day, which is like, yeah, it's so nice. Let's see. Run the live. Simply Scotland. I have done lives on my phone. You got to go back a ways, but I've literally done them like from a kayak as I was paddling back out in Prince William Sound. And I've done other lives that are kind of odd that way too. So yeah, you have to look back a ways. I think if you find the playlist on my channel that's like live streams, and you can go back that way because a lot of them are unlisted. But I do have one where I was like paddling in my kayak back to the shore in the ocean. Okay. Let's see. Alaska Filmer, Mark H. Good to see you. Keith Brown. Let's see. Jim Anderson. Dewey. Max Air. H4 Services. Man, you all have been chatting up a storm. So, yeah. So, I got to be clear on the A9. I don't have it yet. It gets here tomorrow. Jevin Dovey is coming up, and he and I are going to be working for 4 days on it. So ask me questions, and I will write them down and do my best to make sure I answer them in the review video, which will either be next week or the week after, depending on how long it takes me to edit. But I have some super exciting stuff lined up for him and me to do to test that camera to the max. Of course, it will involve helicopters. It might involve downhill mountain skiing. It will probably involve some wildlife, and maybe, just maybe if the weather cooperates and the cosmos cooperates, some aurora and astrophotography. So, and it's just a loan. I don't know yet if I'm going to buy it personally. I'd probably sell my A1 if I did, because that's a pretty expensive camera. But yeah, so we're gonna see what happens here. But I do have a pretty good handle on the camera already. So if you want to ask questions, I'll see if I can answer them for you. Anyway, like that. Let's see who else. Agent J. Keith Brown. Bud Bieber. Hey. Kevin Hawthorne. Good to see you. Godspeed. Nice. Let's see. I think I've said pretty much hi to everybody. MYD. Mind your drone business. Yeah. The M&R. Is there any review likely for the A7C2? Yes, M&R, there is. I am working on it. I really like that camera. It's really nice. I just haven't had a chance to finish filming it yet and then posting it. But that is coming, I promise. And it should be in the next couple weeks. So Lambo Drive Zambo, thank you. I appreciate the kind words, and you're welcome. See, have a great show. Bud Bieber, sleep well. Let's see. Cheers. Stream. What's my stream setup? Johnson City Aerials wants to know what my stream setup is. It looks amazing and clean. That's because it's on ridiculously high-end system. I'm literally streaming on the Sony FX6 with the 24mm G Master, and then I have a DD S Mic 2S over here running through a universal audio interface over here, and then a bunch of lighting. So it's kind of insane and overkill for this, but I have it, so why not? And it looks good. So, but I appreciate that. Thank you. Let's see. R.A. Which imagery? You were recently watching one of my videos, and I made the passing statement that you generally don't use ND filters for action cameras. Can I please elaborate on that statement a little more? Yes, absolutely. And actually, that's a great question. Thank you for asking it. Let's see. Oh, and thank you for everybody who voted for me in the thing. I didn't win first place. I got runner-up, which is cool. And I thought it was cool that I was included. And thank you for all of you who subscribed to hit me over 100,000 subscribers, which is insane. Yeah, really, really wild. 4 years ago, I hit 10,000 subscribers, and I remember thinking then that 100,000 subscribers seems so out of reach. So, ND filters on an action camera. The difficulty with action cameras and ND filters is the stabilization is based partly on gyro data coming from the camera, but it's also based on what visually is coming into the camera. And so for the stabilization to work best, you actually don't want a lot of motion blur in the video, because the little computer inside here is analyzing the video as it comes in and stabilizing based on what the gyro data is telling it's happening and then what it sees coming into the camera. I can't say that that's like, I guess I probably shouldn't say that like statement of fact, but if you put ND filters on and you get proper motion blur where the camera is, you know, everything in motion in the camera is coming through blurry, you will actually get weird jitters and weird issues with stabilization. And so I conclude that the reason is that it can't visually see as well what's going on in the footage and then what's coming into the camera. So that's why I have gotten away from using ND filters on action cameras. Now, there are times I will use them still, but mostly I just run them as is. And then, you know, I'll put motion blur on in post if I need to or something like that. I do still use them sometimes on FPV drones. I will not crazy high ND filters to like say I'm filming in 4K 30 and I want to get the shutter speed to 1/60, but maybe I'll get the shutter speed to 1/120 or something like that. That seems to be like the happy medium between basically getting not quite as good a stabilization and still getting some motion blur in there. So yeah, Dewey, how goes my Air 3? Very well. That drone is a beast. I pushed it pretty hard. I've flown it in -20 and -20 Fahrenheit, and it's handled it great, and it continues to perform and capture some great imagery. So Jim, Jim, I'm curious why you're considering the A9 III. Tell me in the comments why you're considering the A9 III. I'm just curious. I appreciate that. Cam Mackey one. I haven't met him personally. I hope to at NAB this year, but seems like a really cool dude. Very talented filmmaker. Like he's a great guy. Super talented man, filmmaker. So yeah, I'm happy to be included with him. One saying had a crazy stream setup with the FX6 Johnson City. Yeah, and it's like normally I used to stream with the A7S III and the 24mm G Master, and then for this setup and how I currently am working in the studio, it's easier for me to transfer the FX6 here, and then I get a little screen up here on top, kind of built in. Plus, it offers focus breathing compensation. So if I get close to the lens, you don't see the sides of the frame here, or especially out here, move. Like it doesn't get bigger or smaller. The A7S III doesn't have that yet, although it's working on it. So let's see. Blah, 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 blah. You tried drone for Aurora photos, TDI. It works great, but only like 15-minute flight time. It was -37 there. Yeah, it's a short flight time when it's that cold. That's for sure. And drones, actually, it's pretty surprising. They can take very good photos in really low light, which is interesting. Motorsports mainly, Jim? Oh, yeah, that would be a great camera for that. I think you'd be very happy with it for that. Yeah, I am looking forward to really putting it through its paces. No camera upgrade, just staying with your Canon 850D and Air 3 DWI. Great combo. Great combo. Sorry, I'm a little dehydrated, so I'm going to drink some water. Probably drink a fair amount of water. But, so yeah, the A9 III is coming in. I will definitely be testing. We're going to be testing the focus, or not the focus, but the focus speed for sure. But how well it works with helicopters and heli skiing and skiers coming downhill, which is a great use case for it because you've got all these stuff that's going super quick. Everything's happening really fast. It's a great way to test and show off the global shutter. And then for wildlife stuff too, because it has the pre-capture where you can kind of hold it down and it's like pre-capturing, but it's overriding the files. Basically, my idea there is we're going to try and go and find some bald eagles, something like that, and use the pre-capture and see how well it works, like waiting for eagles to take off or stuff like that. Or maybe we can get some eagles fighting over fish, which would be spectacular and cool. He's also bringing the new 300 millimeter G Master lens up, so that'll be a good one for wildlife. And then obviously we'll be working with like the slow motion and yeah, just in general, I'm very excited to see what the camera is capable of, how well it handles cold weather, and how well like the focus tracking, the stabilization. We're going to be testing that well in a helicopter and handheld, shooting this stuff for the heli skiing stuff. And yeah, I'm very, very curious to put that thing through its paces and see how well it works. Everything I've seen so far and everything Jevin's tested already sounds like it works. Seems like it works very well. So, see, Alaska Filmer, happy 100K, happy New Year, Merry Russian. Thanks, Alaska Filmer. That was nice. Sleep well? I guess it's yeah, the Alaska Frontier. Thank you. I don't think I've seen you on the live stream before, Alaska Frontier, but I love the channel name, or screen name. Very, very nice. Okay, so there was a lot of chat before I came in here. So if you asked me a question that I didn't see in the chat before I said hi to everybody, then please ask it again in the chat, and I'll be able to keep up with you all now. I'm just kind of scrolling back through to see if I missed any massive stuff that sticks out to me, but I don't think I did. Yeah, it looks like everybody. You guys were all just chatting while I was trying to get home as fast as possible. Yeah, okay. Dizzy Dean FPV, probably lens flare. Oh, why do I see blue or green dot when filming the sunrise or sunset with your Mini 4 Pro? That is lens flare. So you will always get lens flare, even with really expensive cinema lenses. Like I've done helicopter work with shot over rigs, and you will get lens flare. Every lens has flare. How it handles the flare, it like the more expensive the lens, the more beautiful and the better looking the flare, because they're able to work with it. But the Mini 4, the Mini 3, all the DJI drones have lens flare. I personally like some of the lens flares. The Mini 4 can be a bit overwhelming sometimes with the light, depending on how it hits. But anytime you're looking directly into a bright light, aka sun, setting sun, but it can work with street lamps and stuff like that too, you'll get lens flare. So kind of noticing what angles your drone is pointing toward the light and where the lens flares happen less, or where you can put the lens flares where they're not distracting, or maybe even adding to the image, because they can add to the image. That would be why. So that's what the dot is. It's a lens flare. And essentially what happens is, do I have a lens sitting around here anywhere? Let me grab a lens. Hold on. Oh, actually, I don't have any really bright lights. But essentially, with any lens, you've got like multiple elements, right? You've got the front element here, and then you've got another element here, here. And so as the light passes through, you get reflections and little, light dispersing through these lenses. So you'll get lens flare because of the way the light interacts with those lenses. Really expensive lenses deal with it in certain ways. Less expensive lenses, I wonder if I can make this thing flare. Yeah, so you see that little, oh boy, this is right there. That's a lens flare. And it's purely because I'm shining a bright light directly into the lens. But this is a G Master lens, and this is not a terribly bright light. So it takes care of, it handles that lens flare okay. Drones have such a compact camera and a compact lens system, it's much more difficult for them to deal with that lens flare. Other than like, coatings and stuff like that, they do what they can. But you will always get lens flare from any lens pointed directly at a bright light. It's just the nature of it. The nature of the beast. So there we go. Mark H., thank you for the $20 super chat. I appreciate that. I will be spending a good amount of money on gas over the next few days because we're going to be driving a lot of different places and everything up here is really far away. So that will go directly to the gas and coffee fund. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. You're going to be seeing some epic videos on this channel. Oh, and we need to talk about the channel in general. I'll save that for a little bit from now, but we got to talk about the channel in general. Jake, not from State Farm. Hi. Simply Scotland, you sold your 80D with lenses to buy your first drone. You're now looking for a good pocket point and shoot for a pensioner. Good pocket point and shoot. Are you for photo and video, Simply Scotland? I assume because you have photography in your name, you're doing photo and stuff. And then what's your budget? Because that obviously budget. Whoops, that's the wrong water bottle. Budget makes a big difference. Marco. Okay, good question. So, I would maybe use a little bit of an ND filter to get the shutter speed down. But what I would do is lock the ISO at the lowest it can go. So probably like 100. And then I would get the shutter speed down to say maybe 1/240. And then put an ND filter on for that. And then once you do that, then you can unlock the shutter speed and put the shutter speed back on auto, but keep the ISO locked at 100. And that way it will ramp the shutter speed up if it needs to, if it's brighter, or down if it needs to, if you're going in a darker area. And I would do that. Otherwise, honestly, like a GoPro and the Action 4 do a great job of just like leave it in auto. And it does a really good job. You could lock the ISO at 100 and let the shutter speed do everything else. So yeah. That's typically how I've been running stuff lately with the action cameras. And honestly, even like the Pocket 3, because it's gimbal stabilized, you can use ND filters for that too. But if you're not moving quickly with the Pocket 3, then you can get away with not using any ND filters for it, and it still produces some really nice images. Dizzy Dean FPV. I mean, I sort of described it, but you can use an ND filter, and that might help cut some of it down, but you will still have lens flares. So the way is to not point directly into bright lights as much as you can. Angle the gimbal down a little bit or left or right and kind of play with it and figure out where you get the least amount of that lens flare that you can handle and still get the shot you want. But I did a whole video about like what to do. I can't remember what essentially, it was like filming at sunset, sunrise to get the best light with drones. And you can see in there's a lot of lens flare. And so lens flare isn't necessarily a bad thing. It can just be a good thing. But you have to kind of get it how you want it, I guess. TDI. It's funny you say the ZV-1 point and shoot for open box deal, 450 pounds, or euros. Sorry, 450 euros. And that is one of the cameras I was going to recommend. It's a great little camera, nice 20 megapixel stills, nice little zoom setup on it. That's a really good one. Jake, not from State Farm. A lot of UFOs in Alaska. You heard there's a lot of UFOs in Alaska. Sure. There's a lot of flying objects in Alaska. Some of them probably are unidentified. Yeah. Brizwiz, I mentioned a few weeks ago about using a teleprompter to read live broadcast comments. Curious which prompter you use. So, where is it? Oh, it's put over there. I use the GlideCam teleprompter. It's like the GlideCam TP100 or something like that on Amazon. And it works well. I use it more. I mean, obviously, I'm not using it now, but I use it more for certain clients that I film for them to be able to basically read their script and do it looking straight at the camera. I think I'm going to be looking, whenever it comes back into stock, the Elgato teleprompter that Elgato just came out with looks really great because it has a built-in screen. It mirrors it automatically, and it's basically set up for stuff like this. So I think I'm going to probably try and get a hold of that whenever it comes out so that I could do this, but see the comments exactly here so I wouldn't have to take, wouldn't have to be like looking at my phone. Although I guess I don't mind this too much, but yeah. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about doing. Issues with the Action 4, close focus still. If So they say you can add a diopter, but you can't find one for the Action 4. Any recommendations? Hill Phantom, I don't have any recommendations for a diopter because chances are you're going to need an adapter to hold that diopter on. If you look up Make Art Now, I don't think he has a video out about it yet, or maybe he does, but he made a diopter system for the Insta360 Pro. He might have done one for the Action 4 too. I'm not sure. But yeah, because action cameras have a fixed focus distance, basically from wherever the near to infinity is, and they can only do so much with these because everything's so compact, then you do have a minimum focus distance. I haven't found the Action 4 to be that bad, but I do, I have a pretty good arm length and stuff, and I usually put it on a selfie stick. So it's not something they can fix with firmware, is what I'm saying. The Action 4 does have a much better focus setup than the original Action 3 did, because that had some serious issues early on. But I've not run into that with the Action 4. Photo, please, and no lens change. 1K max. Simply Scotland, I would look at the Sony ZV-1 or the ZV-1 Mark II, if that's a thing. I don't know if that's a thing yet, but that's what I look for. I think you're right in that price range. It's a great little camera. You're going to want to pick up a couple extra batteries. It takes nice photos. It has a 24 to 70 millimeter zoom lens built in, power zoom lens built in. Yeah, that's what I would get. It works really, really well. Trucking with T-Bone. Surely visited Coots. Yes. Yep. Unidentified frozen object in Alaska. Yeah, we have lots of those H4 surfaces. Lots and lots of those right now. Listen here, Jeremy. I know that's the problem, right? You're not supposed to. Well, according to some people in my comments, you're never supposed to point anything at the light source. Like, you're never supposed to backlight anything. I was completely wrong on that with my Pocket 3 video, and I go, okay, but like, I know lots of people who are DPs for big budget movies, and they always backlight everything. So, whatever. Yeah. Let's see. Bob Casey, Austin King. Curious if you have any DJI tweaks for the drone gimbal speed. Do I mess with the pitch, yaw, anything like that, make movement better, or is it better just all thumbstick control for me? I do mess with the speed. I mess with the speed. What I currently use is in my setup videos, the various drones. The only one I haven't done one for, I guess, recently is the Mini 4 Pro. I actually kind of slacked on my Mini 4 Pro videos. But yeah. So, and I generally just slow it down. I like the gimbal speed to be fairly slow, and I like the gimbal brake speed to be kind of middle of the ground-ish. Like, I don't want it to continue on for 10 minutes or a couple of seconds after I stop moving the gimbal, but yeah. Simply Scotland? Yes, I know. How much for the one on my head signed? Oh, yeah, we'll have to see about that. I don't know about that. Jim Anderson. 1:45 a.m. time for bed, Dewey. Happy New Year. Peace. Cheers. Have a good night's sleep. And yeah, that's coming. Agent J, how's winter going up here? It's been very heavy snowfall year. We've broken basically every record ever for recorded snowfall in Anchorage so far. So, and then we just had a good little bit of time where it was below zero. That was also heavy winter. In fact, the Action 3 Mini 4 video I posted yesterday, I think I filmed most of that. It was like -5 to 0 degrees. The video I posted up at the Independence Mine, which was like the Action, how to get pro video with the Action 3, or the Pocket 3, that was like -10 with a 10-mile-an-hour wind blowing that whole day. So that was very cold. Hill Phantom, thank you for the $5 super chat very much. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Happy New Year's from Montana. Cheers. I love Montana. I need to go back. I was in Billings and Whitefish and Bozeman a little bit last year, and I forgot how much I like Montana. Is such a beautiful place. It is incredibly beautiful, and the sunsets there are spectacular. My first photo you had to hang at the National Geographic Museum pointed straight at the sun with a $200 lens. Thank you, Jeremy. That's what I'm saying. Like, people get all hung up on this stuff, and I'm like, not really, though. Man. That's exactly what I'm saying. Let's see. Hey, Michael. Welcome. Scott Beckham. Hello. Are most film jobs in Alaska a union crew? Actually, Scott, a lot of them are not union. At least the stuff I do is not. There are certainly union jobs up here, but yeah, a lot of them are not. Now, some of the reality shows and stuff like that, those probably are union, at least for like the main roles. Drone operations fall in kind of a weird black hole of whether or not it has to be union or not. It's kind of this odd man out right now, so we'll see what happens with it. Johnson said he'd like to throw in your bid on a signed Jake Sloan hat. All right, now you guys got me thinking. I might have to open a merch store and do a hat run or something like that. I do like this. My buddy Keith designed this, and he made this logo, and he designed it, and I really just need to get a new one because I like this hat a lot. Maybe I do a limited run of signed Jake Sloan hats, Sloan Ranger hats. Yeah, we'll see. You haven't missed much, Michael. I actually was very late getting this stream started, so yeah. Let's see. Mavic 3. More Possum. Mavic 3 Pro, RC Pro, is extremely sensitive to stick movements. Is that normal for default settings? More Possum. I found it normal for mine, so I kind of tamed everything down. But yeah, it's definitely like... And it's weird because one of my Mavic 3s, not the Pro, was like the standard one was way more sensitive to the stick movements than the Cine version I had. And I don't know why that is. They were definitely different. So it is somewhat of an individual drone thing, but definitely like just slow everything down, slow your gain and expo down, change those settings up to where you get a little more comfortable with what you like. But yeah, for the normal settings, I found it was. Simply Scotland Photography, you want to buy my hat? Come on. Thanks for the £5 super chat. Simply Scotland Photography. I will have to. I'll have to think about that. Yeah, maybe I'll do a hat run, a hat merch run. That would be interesting. Excuse me. Louis Ponce, Jake from Alaska. What's up? Lots of snow, cold weather, and short days. But they're getting longer now, which I'm very happy about. First squad drones. Have I ever been hider sized? I don't know what that is. You gotta tell me what that is, first squad drone. Yeah. Remember you asked me what I thought about what your sister selling your A7III to get a Pocket 3 and pocket the cash, no pun intended. She wants to vlog, doesn't photograph much, very nice camera, but money. Yes, I do remember that, Michael. And I remember we kind of went back and forth on it a little bit, where I kind of was like, I don't know if I probably would just keep the A7 III. But if she really doesn't want to do any photo work or doesn't want to like do anything with the photos she takes, then yeah, the Pocket 3 will do more than enough for social media and just fun. And it's a really easy camera to use video-wise. So, yeah, I would say go for it, honestly. Jeremy, it was like that with your Mini 3 Pro. Had to go and adjust each mode manually. Yeah, it kind of like the default modes on most DJI drones is a little sensitive in my opinion. And what it is the gain and expo tuning is like you want to flatten out the middle a little bit so you can make larger movements where you make most of your movements. And the defaults on the DJI drones seem like they don't quite have enough sensitivity in the center of the stick range. Oh, Royal Eagle Golf Company. What are my top 3 lenses for Sony full frame? Good question. Budget or not budget? Like, if you want a budget range lens, or do you just not care about budget at all? Answer that, and I will give you my top 3 lenses. And then also, what are you shooting? Like, what do you want to film? Speloidus? That is an interesting screen name. when you review the DJI Mini 4 and I suggested one battery over another, you assume did the weight limitation to keep the drone over 249 grams. What batteries do I suggest? Well, if you want to keep the weight under 249 grams, you have to use the smaller, lighter weight batteries, which give you, I think, 30-ish minutes of flight time. So 28 to 30 minutes of flight time probably. And they're marked 249 grams. If you get the larger, it's the Fly More Plus kit, those batteries are larger and heavier, and they will put your drone over 249 grams. Everything I do with my drones is commercial because of my posting on YouTube, so it doesn't matter. I still have to register the drone, and I have to fly legally with the commercial regulations. So that's what I do. But in other countries, you are much more strictly regulated on what you can and can't do with a drone over 249 grams. So I would get the Fly More standard batteries or kit with the Mini 4 Pro and just stick with those. I hope that makes sense. Let me know if that didn't make sense for you. At first, to be honest, I thought it was just sweat marks prior to seeing its mountains. Yeah, I mean, it is kind of mountains, right? Like that's kind of what I think of now, but it's sweat from hiking those mountains. How about that? So even my sweat says mountains. It's kind of disgusting. I'm sorry I wore this hat, you guys. Everybody's talking about the sweat on my hat. It's a working man's hat. Hiking man's hat, anyway. Scott Bacon, Balcom. Mavic 3 Pro, time-lapse shots with straight movement. Your drone files are all over the place, making the frames hard to stabilize and align. Any tips? One, the slower you go, generally the better it is. So like don't have a lot of movement in the hyperlapse, at least like forward movement. Definitely use the raw photos, edit the raw photos, and then import them in the full resolution size into a editor and put them together as a time lapse that way, because that'll give you the most room to stabilize in post. And then it really does have to be like, I've found like 10 to 15 miles an hour is the max wind you can have. And if it's gusty, that will ruin it. Even low wind, but with gusts will really ruin it. And so the less wind you have, the better, because I ran into those issues in Chicago a few times too. Those are my tips. Don't move as far or as fast, which is kind of the same thing in the hyperlapse stuff. And then the wind, try and do it with the littlest amount of wind possible. And set lots of waypoints. That seems to be helpful too in some cases. The straightforward one shouldn't be, but definitely if you're like orbiting or going up and around or something like that, those ones, setting lots of waypoints really makes a big difference. All right, let's see. Just started to get back in videos, photos. Is your Air 2S outdated now compared to the newer drones, the Air 3 Mini 4 Pro? Honestly, trucking with T-Bone, the Air 2S still shoots great video and great photos. And if you're happy with it, I would stick with it until the next big DJI drone comes out. The only thing you're missing is the flight time and a little bit better response, tracking and stuff like that. But the Air 2S still has a really great image, especially for photos. It's still better than the Air 3 or the Mini 4 Pro because it takes better photos. Jealous of my snow. Since I'm to Wisconsin, confusing. Oh man, we've got so much snow this year. It's crazy. Eric Smith, ND plus PL, polarized or not ND only filter. Which do I recommend for the Pocket 3? For video, I go ND only. That's all I use for when I'm just doing video. The only time I add polarizers are when I'm shooting in photos in highly reflective areas. Austin King. All right, prime or zoom shooter, adding a few GM lenses to the lineup and seeing all these GM2 feels like we may have a smaller, lighter version of the 24, 35, 50, etc. Do you ever use the 70-200 GM2? I have used this 70-200 GM2. It's a great lens. I need to add it to my kit here pretty soon. I don't think the 24, 35, or 50 will be updated anytime soon because they were released recently and they're spectacular. So I wouldn't worry about those. But yeah, the zooms. So I use primes on like anything that's like static, interview stuff, things like that. For all my like run and gun stuff, outdoor stuff, all of that, I use zooms. So I've been loving the Tamron 17-50 just because it's that 17 wide is really nice. if Sony came up with a 24 to 105 f2.8 or f2 like Canon just released, I would buy that in a heartbeat, because that's kind of my go-to is the 24 to 105 for a single lens solution. But the 70 to 200 is a spectacular lens, and I really, really do need to add it. And then I use a 100 to 400 a lot when I'm doing wildlife stuff or things like that. Just popped in to say good night, Paul. Good night, Paul. Have a good one. Thank you for staying high. Do you have any insight on when Sony A9 will be available? It looks like late February, early March is the target right now, Jim. So I would guess probably early March is my guess. Let's start with budget, not cheap, for your marketing team to take shots of people in your golf apparel products. Oh, okay. My go-to for that would be 35 1.4 from Sony, and either the 50 millimeter 1.4 G Master or the 85 millimeter G Master. Those would be my go-to. The 35 would be kind of nice wide stuff. The 50 or the 85 will get you nice tight and like good portrait looks, but also get you some nice detail shots. So that would kind of be my go-to for those, honestly, for that kind of stuff. If that's all you're doing is that apparel, that type stuff, yeah, that's what I would do. I would do primes. They're by far their sharpest, and they look great, and you're gonna be more static as far as your model and your photographer. So now, excuse me. If you are taking photos of your golf apparel, like in action, out on a golf course, a 70 to 200 GM Mark II, no question. That's what I would get. Yeah. But if you want to save some money on that, then I would probably get the Tamron 70 to 180 Mark II for like a cheaper alternative to that. Louis, you received your 16 to 35 2.8 GM. Nice. 800. Nice. Wow, great. Yeah, nice job, Louis. And I did right. The channel hit 100K. I did not expect that till next month or March maybe, but then the end of the year ticked up. You all subscribed, and I really appreciate it. I don't know what it is other than bragging. I have 100,000 subscribers. Doesn't really matter, but I do appreciate it. Simply Scotland, thank you for the 10 pounds. I will think about a way to do that and make it fun, but you don't need a super chat anymore. So Scott Bacon, cool. So it's not you. Thanks for a lot of waypoints. A good tip. Just straight light one page. Yeah. No, it's not just you. It can be an issue. Like the straight doing the course lock works okay for me a lot of times, but I do find the drone tends to drift a little bit. So always have it save all the raw photos, the full-on 20 megapixel raw photos. Edit those in Lightroom or Luminaire or whatever your photo editor of choice is. Import the photos into your video editor, piece them together on a timeline so that every photo is one frame of video, and then make a time lapse out of that. And you can stabilize that much more effectively because you have a much larger photo than a, say, 4K finished timeline or something like that. Hope that makes sense. I did plan to do a video about that, and then I never got around to it. So, yeah. At Royal Eagle, Jake loves the Tamron budget. On a budget, yeah. On a budget, the Tamron lenses are great. 28 to 75 G2 is a great one, too. Yeah, Air 2 makes you a lot of money. Jim, yep. Air 2S is still a super solid, great drone for image quality-wise. It's really good. Scott Bacon, $5 super chat. Thank you very much. Thanks for the lives and the help. This will buy a couple of hand warmers. Yes, it will. And I will be needing them Friday or Saturday whenever we're going to be spending time on mountaintops with heli skiing stuff. It's we're going to need a bunch of them. So thank you very, very much. Happy New Year, Blue Planet Drone. Happy New Year, Michael Kaczynski. Trucking with T-Bone. What would be a good upgrade from the Sony A6000? No audio inputs. Be used all around camera and possibly some vlogs. Trucking, what's your budget? Because honestly, if you're using the A6000 now, I would get the A6700 or the FX30 if you mostly want to do video stuff. That is a phenomenal camera for the price. The A6700 is Really great camera. But if you want to do a little more video focused stuff and a little higher end, like you're going to work with clients and stuff, then I'll get the FX30. It's a little more like video focused, but the A6700, I would recommend that hands down if you have the budget for it. Good looking Streamlabs photo. Thank you. We got to figure out a time to get together, man, and mess with your 8K Ronin now. Yeah. So I'm doing, Ryan, you'll laugh at this. I'm doing this on the FX6 with a 24mm G Master lens. This is ridiculous for a streaming setup, but it looks really good. Let's see. I have Eddie. You want to vlog with the DJI Osmo Action 4? Which settings are recommended for best quality, stability, and low light environments? Greeting from New York. Greetings. Well, New York low light environments. You're in the city, so you get a fair amount of light, but do the low light mode for sure, and it does a good job overall. And then put it on a selfie stick so you can hold it more steady. But yeah. And other than that, the camera does a good job overall. So that's really all you need to do is if you're in low light, use the low light mode on the camera, and it will do a pretty good job for you. Jared. Oh, that's right. Billy Kyle does have some good, yeah. Let's see. That was Scott Balcom. Balcom, right? Scott Balcom? Yeah. Oh, I think I just watched one of your videos today. Did you just do the SP video recently, Scott? Because I think I just watched your SP, pretty sure I just watched your SP3 video. I love those lenses. They're so good. They're so good. They're spendy, but they're cooks. So yeah, sort of. And yeah, so when we were talking about lens flare, you were talking about, they're $5,000 a lens, and they're like this big, but they're cinema lenses made by Cook, which I do want to do a video about, review and stuff. Though they have lens flares. They look amazing, but they have lens flares. Every lens has lens flares. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter like how it looks, So anyway. You were close. The first ones to congratulate. Yes, you were, Michael. You were very close. I have the word congratulations, congrats. Any of that is all blocked. So it goes into it won't post. It's held for review because there were so many spam bots for a while going, congrats, you won this. And they would spoof my channel name and then try and get people into WeChat or something like that and basically scam people out of money. And so I blocked a ton of words. But I did approve it later. But I think you were one of the very first, if you might have been the first to congratulate me. Can't remember exactly. Jim Klugo, $20. Get some coffee before that heli trip. Thank you. Will do. That will go to coffee funds and gas funds for us to get around while Jevin's up here with the A9 so we can test that in the broadest range of possible ways to test it. We're going to test it in every way possible. I really want to test the low light like Astro, Aurora stuff. I'm very curious to see how it does in very low light. Because typically that's what global shutters really suffer in, is low light. So we will see. I also, I don't think I can because I don't think Sony would let me, but I really kind of want to put it on this FPV drone. Just full send it somewhere. I don't know that Sony or Jevin, who's probably liable for the camera if it breaks, would appreciate that because I think they only have 20 production units out there for people to use right now. Oh, you probably wouldn't go over well. Balk. Like talk. Talk. Okay, got it. Cool. Yeah, Cook SP. Yeah, great job on the review, man. That was a great video. And those, they just sent those to you? Lent them to you? Because, yeah. That's pretty awesome. I'd love to know how they got in touch with you or how you got in touch with them because I'd like to do some more work with them. Anyway, I have a buddy who has the setup here, so I whenever he's in town, I'm gonna try and go hook up with him and we'll go and do a review. We did some comparison tests already with the Sony GM lenses and the Cooks, and then we did some other stuff like car rig stuff with them, but the car rig didn't work as well as we had hoped. It was very, very cold that day, and so we ran into some other issues. If you followed me on Instagram, you saw some of the stories that I posted about how cold it was and how much frost, the FX6 and the lenses, the whole gimbal, everything just got caked in frost because there was some ice fog, but the footage didn't turn out as good as we were hoping. Bachem. Nice. If you ever travel and for some reason in Alaska, it'd be awesome, especially if I got to meet you. Yeah, if you come up here, Michael, if you ever come up here, try and give me a heads up. And if I can meet up, I'd love to. I met up with a few people that way, and it's always good fun. So yeah, just send it. Yeah, exactly, Jim. That was my thought. Is like strap it to there and just send that thing off the edge and see what happens. I do trust the drone. The drone is very well built. It's super solid. It's all conformal coated, so there's no... But with an FPV drone, you kind of want to cut things close to get that feeling, and that's where I can be safe. I can play it a little safer, I guess, but it would be cool. How cool would it be to dive down a mountainside chasing downhill skier or heli skiing, down the hill with an FPV drone with the A9III on it filming video? How epic would that be? It'd also be a really, really great way to test the crap out of the camera. Jared, you've got some questions on the DJI ban. You know, companies that get Fed funding grants can't use DJI drones. Well, yes. Technically, they can't use the federal funds to get DJI drones. They could still get DJI drones, but they can't use federal funds to get those drones. And they can't use those DJI drones on projects funded by federal dollars. Well, not funded by federal dollars. Well, yeah, not funded. They can't use them on federally funded dollars, but mostly where it has to do with like federal stuff, military bases, infrastructure, all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, it doesn't affect like you or me unless we got hired to do something for a federal agency or a state agency that the project they're working on is funded by federal dollars. That's when it would affect us. Excuse me. Yeah, so it's unfortunate. Jared Spink, can they still hire you? Say a construction company gets federal funding. Can you still do the project updates for them? They aren't using the drone, but hiring somebody that does. So that is more specific to, that's going to be more specific to that project. I believe you can in most cases, but it'll be specific to that project. Now, if the project itself is like a federal building or something like that, then that could be where the issue might lie for you. Yeah. So, but like, I am working on a project right now that is funded by federal dollars, but I am able to use, at least so far, I'm able to use my DJI drones to film the project I'm working on because it doesn't involve like any federal infrastructure or anything like that. But the drones being used, it's complicated, but the drones being used in the project itself cannot be DJI drones. They have to be USA-made drones. So they're going to be Skydio drones. So incidentally, on my channel here, you'll be seeing a review of the Skydio X10 and some other content about the Skydio X10. So, yeah. Brian Jabali, you've got ask away, Brian. I'm going to wrap up the stream pretty soon, so definitely ask me a question if you've got it. You're saying New Zealand 30C temp could do with a little cold. Yeah, David, no kidding. I got a buddy who's in New Zealand right now. I wish I was there. It looks beautiful. I've always wanted to go for a long time. I wanted to go. Is there a special class or school going to be proficient in drone shooting, post-editing? My flying is great. My editing is childish. You can't seem to grasp it, Kent. I will be doing some more videos about editing this year. So, and this might be a good segue. Let me get to the rest of the questions real quick, and then we'll segue into kind of the channel direction for 2024, since this is the first stream of the year. Brian Jabali, you have, for some reason, not finding as many reviews, the Sony 16-35 GM2 or the Tamron 17-50 f4, other than yours. You're wondering if you could do a comparison between those two. I do want to do a comparison between those two. And the issue for me has been just getting a hold of the 16-35 Mark II. Has been difficult so far. So, but I'm working on it because that is a comparison I want to do. So, the answer to your question is yes, I am working on it. And thank you for asking. I appreciate that because it helps me know that, like, yeah, actually somebody gets value out of it. It's great. So currently now, DJI, any non-USA made drones or non-blue UAS listed drones are not allowed to be purchased with federal dollars or used around federal projects is kind of the gist of it overall. There's some nuance there, but that's the basic gist of it. They do, Michael. They do, and the hard part is it's like we don't have enough manufacturers of USA-made drones that can match DJI's quality yet. I think their Skydio is getting closer. We'll see with the X10. I think that's probably the closest so far. But they definitely can't match it's hard for them to match the price point. But yeah, there is an option out there. I just don't know that Skydio is going to be able to manufacture enough fast enough to keep up with demand, at least in the near future. Simply Scotland, I'm glad you're back to work. But thank you, and always feel free to watch the replays. Hopefully you'll get value out there. Let's see. So specifically low-income housing that was Fed funding in. Another is a water treatment plant for the city, but also some Fed grants involved. So Jared, I would think that those would be okay. I don't see an issue with those because it sounds similar to what I'm doing with the state of Alaska. Like the federal government gave the state of Alaska a grant for this project I'm working on. But I am able to, because I'm coming in as a third-party contractor, I am able to use my equipment to film everything I need to film with my DJI drones, at least so far. So, yeah. Paul, yeah, agreed. It is very expensive. It looks like a great drone. I should have my hands on one next week sometime. 16. Can't wrap it up. You just got here, Brant? I know, but I've got to go do stuff with the family. Michael Kozinski, it's expensive. It like starts at 10 grand and goes up. Yeah. So Mark, that was a little bit of a clickbaity title. I don't have it in hand yet. Jevon Dovey is coming tomorrow. He's bringing one with him, and we're going to be testing it, doing some heli skiing and all of that. But my initial thoughts is it looks like a great camera. Low light looks pretty decent on it, and I'm very excited to use it. I don't know yet if I'll be buying one, because to me, the biggest comparison for me is going to be between the A1 and the A9. Depends on what you're doing, obviously, but yeah. So, but it looks like I'm very impressed with what I've seen so far. Robert, thank you, and congrats, right? Because you're done now, right? Aren't you, Robert? Congratulations, if you are. I hope you make a trip up here sometime. I would love to meet you in person. Maybe I'll make a trip down there sometime. The last 6 months, your flight time over 90% FPV, 10% Air 2. Last week it was and a half. It's been 90% Mavic 3 Pro and 10%. You love this thing. Awesome. I'm glad. Yeah, that's great. It's kind of funny how it does do that. It swings. Yes, that's correct. It's four or five times the Mavic 3. Yep, thermal. Larry, there's always a chance. It's like 1 in 2 million. You know, like that Dumber and Dumber thing where it's like, so you're telling me there's a chance. So there's basically like, yeah, there's no chance. There's a tiny chance, but it's very, very low. So do you have an Inspire 2? Does it have major issues? Yeah, Baxter. I kind of outlined my Inspire 2 versus my Inspire 3 video. The Inspire 2 has issues. The image quality is still a great image quality, but it does have issues. So, yeah. Michael, I think it should. I think that would be great. Jeremy, thank you. I won't be skiing personally, but I am excited to go film it with the A9III. I think it'll be pretty spectacular. Yep. I want the 70-50, but it's f4. Just struggle between the Tamron or Sony G Master Mark 1 or 2. Brian, honestly, the G Master Mark 1 is a great lens, and you could save a fair amount of money on it. So I would, if you can go that direction, I would go that direction for the low light, especially if you need that low light performance. But yeah, I do plan to do a comparison between that and the 2 as soon as possible. I know, Jeremy. So you shouldn't be talking because you get to go do something cool. Okay, now there was a question up here. Let's see. Oh, Scott. Yeah. Actually, if you want to do that, I followed you back on Twitter. So, yeah, let's connect. I I mean, like I can get a set here because I've got a friend with a set, but he's in and out and schedules don't always align and stuff. So, yeah. If I could get them on a drone, well, I could get them on an FPV drone. I don't know that I could get them on like the Inspire 3, and I don't have the Sony drone, but I don't know. We might be able to work something out. Actually, do they? I haven't even looked if they make a DL mount. I don't think they do, but they should think about making a DL mount adapter for those, because those could be balanced on an Inspire 3. Oh, those would be so good on the Inspire 3. Oh. Anyway, but yeah, if you're comfortable like introducing us, that would be amazing. No pressure though. Like, but yeah. Okay, Kent Tickus. I am probably butchering people's name. I'm sorry. I've been up for a long time today. I woke up super early, so I'm a little slow on the uptake. But you asked, okay. Baxter, the Inspire 3 is still 4K, so it can shoot in 4K, but it also shoots up to 8K if you want to. But the 4K coming out of it is actually pretty nice too. So, okay. So I'm going to wrap up the stream by saying this. This is the kind of, the state of the channel address, I guess you could call it, and what I plan to do this year. I will still be doing product reviews as I can. I am going to be accepting way less free products because, not because I don't feel like I could be objective, but I feel like a lot of brands are getting way more demanding and aggressive with what they want me to do with their free products. And I'm trying to communicate to brands that, like, just because you give me a $500 action camera, which nobody has in a while, well, DJI did, but, say GoPro does that, or Rode sent me the Wireless Pro, but they're very cool about it. They're like, here it is, try it out, make a video, no time limits, just kind of like see what you think. That's fine. But if a brand's, they're like, we want to send you a, $500, use the action camera as a example, and then we want you to go make a video with it. We want you to send us the video ahead of time to preview it, and we want to basically send you notes back what we would like you to change about the video. That is not going to happen. It never has happened with me, but I'm just like, I'm not playing a game. One, a $500 action camera doesn't come close to compensating me for the 2 to 3 days I will put into making a video about it, editing that video, testing it out, and then going out to make the video about it and all that. So I've come to the conclusion this year that I think I would rather buy whatever I want to work with, for the most part, and make videos about that, or use that product in a video to showcase how it can work well. But it's a product I'm going to buy anyway. Now, I'm not saying I'm not going to accept any free products. I will always disclose if I have accepted a free product from a company. But I want to veer away from that. I said yes to a lot last year, and I definitely want to go the other way. In fact, I said no to like 4 brands already this year. Because I just, a loaner is one thing, which that's typically what Tamron does. That's what Sony does. So I'm fine with that, because it does let me work with it a little ahead of time. And I'll disclose that too in the video. But I will be saying yes to a lot less. And I think my stipulation is going to be, if it's a product that I would be interested in working with anyway or buying anyway, I'll say, yeah, you can send it to me. There's no guarantees I'm going to make a video. I won't be making like dedicated review videos unless, a product just really blows me away or something. But I will, if it's a product I could use anyway or I would buy anyway, and I do feel like it's, they're willing to send it to me, and I will include it in a video that would be a natural fit. So if somebody was to send me a battery, I only say this because this was a recent conversation I had. I don't have any of them here. Anyway, somebody has sent me a V-mount battery, which powers my FX6. I may not make a dedicated review video about that V-mount battery, but I might include it in a video about, using the FX6 in the wild of Alaska or something like that, if that makes sense. But I am going to be saying no to a lot more free products because, yeah, not totally, but I would rather buy what I want to buy and what I want to work with and review it and then go from there. If I do accept free products or I get a loaner product, I will disclose that in the video for sure. I don't know if I will be doing very many sponsored videos this year. I might do a few. We'll see. I've kind of been back and forth on that. I would rather like sponsor the videos myself through the sales of LUT packs, which I sound like such a YouTuber when I say that. Or with, courses, like, because I'm working on several courses, like editing drone video is going to be one of them. But I will be doing content around that too. And so, the plan is to shift the channel from being like getting free products, making reviews about those products, and then, affiliate sales to going, now these are products I really think help people like me, maybe people like you who are solo creators, and then shifting more also to going like, this is more POV videos. So like if I'm going out to shoot a project for a helicopter company, if they're giving me permission, I will be having a POV camera and filming along the way and talking you through like, I'm picking this lens for this reason. We're going to go over here, do this, that kind of stuff. And interviews and stuff like that, because I think that's more helpful to anybody who's a solo creator wanting to start out and transition into side business using drones, cameras, whatever, or transition full-time into it eventually. That kind of stuff is going to be ultimately way more helpful, is me giving you skills and showing you really how or why I'm doing certain things. So maybe a little less product reviews. Product reviews will be integrated into videos that I'm making about something anyway. If I, find that they're actually useful, and then less sponsored videos and more. So yes, you will be hearing me say more in videos. If you want my LUT pack for this, they'll be in the description. Or if you want to buy a course for this, it'll be in the description. And then hopefully, I'm giving you enough value here on YouTube where you feel like it's worthwhile to maybe take that extra step and purchase one of those things. But there won't be any pressure attached. Just it's a way you can support the channel, and we can go from there. So that's kind of what I'm doing business-wise. I've got the business to a place where I don't need the income from YouTube most of the time. And so I kind of want to take that income and just put it back into YouTube and use the money that comes from affiliate sales or ad revenue to buy the products that I would buy anyway and use anyway, because they make work as a solo creator easier, and then make useful reviews and tutorial videos around that, and not just accept less free products and tell companies to go take a hike, and I'll go buy the product if I want to review it. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out, but that's the plan for the year, is to do that more. So there you go. I haven't looked at the chat for a bit, so hopefully panoramic 70mm lens. Oh, the program doesn't do it for you. Oh, Michael, so you have to use a program like Lightroom to combine them. And it's a bit of work, but it will do it, and it will work. Anyway, catch up on the chat. So, yeah. Thanks, Bob Casey. I don't know if I can make it down there for that. I wish I could. I've got a pretty big project I'm working on up here. Jared? Nope, they never did. Which is partly what spurred this whole line of thinking on. Of like going, you know what? Yeah. There are some companies I'll still work with. DJI would probably be one. Sony, if they ever talk to me, then that would be another one. But for the most part, I'll be saying no to a lot of companies out there. And now my view is stuck on this. So there we go. I have not seen those, Michael. That sounds interesting. A free Airy Blacks photo. That'd be nice. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Oh, Mr. Drewer, A7 III for first legit camera. Great choice. It's a great, great camera. I would do that, or maybe the A7C Mark II. I would maybe lean toward that a little more if you have the budget for it, just because it's newer, better video specs and stuff like that. But yeah, A7 III is still a very solid, good camera. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. So my and Black Studio, that's exactly. I'm not doing this. I don't work for them. Essentially, I more work for you, myself. And so I want to delineate and separate that line a little more. And, you know, thankfully, I'm in a place where I can do that. And so that's kind of my goal for this next year, is to just say no a lot and, you know, just make more good content teaching you how to be a solo creator, and then, you know, turn it into a side hustle or maybe a main stream of income, and have fun with it. So, okay, I'll answer the last few videos, and then we'll go from there. Any good Mavic 4 rumors? No, I haven't seen anything. I don't think we'll see anything like that until 2025, to be honest. Some been parts of it, Mavic, if that would be pretty cool, Johnson City. Yet instead of reviewing what everybody else is reviewing and saying what they want you to say, kind of do your own thing and actually help people make right decisions. Yeah, Michael. And I've tried to do that in my reviews anyway. You know, like there are companies out there that have asked me to do reviews and put those stipulations, and I've just straight up told them, no, I won't do that. So, you know, yeah. Eddie Nunez, yeah, you are late, but you made it. I'm late. I was really late too, so. Sony artist in the image for Alaska area. Yeah. Baxter, am I in Alaska? I am. That's where I'm based. That's where I live. And I love it. Even in the winter, I still love it. So, all right. That's going to do it for the stream. Thank you for being part of this channel. Thank you for being part of getting this channel to 100,000 subscribers, which is honestly still a little surreal and a little bit mind-blowing. I got some ideas for a fun video to do the unboxing of the plaque, the 100,000 subscriber plaque, whenever that arrives from YouTube. And yeah, I hope you look forward to the direction of the channel for 2024. If you stay engaged with the channel and watch the videos, you're going to learn a lot. And hopefully, maybe, you know, turn some little side hustle into a decent little income too. Because that's a lot of my goal. Not that you'll ever stay a solo creator. If you go full time, you'll probably end up with a team of people and so on. But there's valuable lessons to be learned in that too. So thanks for being part of the channel. Thanks for hanging out with Thanks for hanging out with me here on the live stream. Should be back same time, same place next week. And yeah, till then, be safe, be smart. I'll see you again soon in the next video. Cheers, everybody.